Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and today is a good day to podcast, apparently. Joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margo D. Hello, friend.
Hello, my friend.
And joining us is our podcasting brother from another mother, Adam Riske from F This Movie. Hello, friend.
Hello, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We are so excited that Adam is here to talk about 1990s Flatliners with us. I don't know why I snickered, and I don't know why we picked Flatliners as the movie to kick off our new year. It seems like a very weird choice, but it's directed by Joel Schumacher, who I think might be the most talked about person on this podcast, Margo. Like
it's up there. Yeah.
We have done episodes on The Lost Boys and The Client and Time to Kill and St. Elmo's Fire. They're all Joel Schumacher movies. I'm sure we're going to do Cousins and Dying Young next. We're just never going to stop with the Joel Schumacher movies.
He makes watchable films.
He does.
Yeah.
And this one is no different. It stars Kiefer Sutherland, Julia Roberts, Kevin Bacon, William Baldwin, and I think national treasure Oliver Platt. I love Oliver Platt. I know, Margo, you probably saw this in the theater. Adam, you probably did not. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And Margo, were you super excited to see it in the theater? Were you like big fans of all of these people? Because this is post Pretty Woman, right? So she's
It was just
huge
after Pretty Woman.
Yeah, she's a huge star at this point.
She was a juggernaut. Like, she was everywhere. But I was there for Kiefer. That was my whole thing. I was a completist for him. I wanted to see all the movies that he did. And so I definitely saw this in the theater. And I remember loving it and thinking it was hilarious sometimes. I'm shocked at myself when I look at it now.
Yeah.
But, did you mention Kevin Bacon?
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot about Bacon.
How could you forget about Bacon?
Him and his strut. I mentioned that in a text to you guys yesterday. He struts in every single scene. It's hilarious. Like Tony Manero style.
I definitely saw this in the theater, but I was there for Platt. Adam, when did you see it?
I can't remember, to be honest. It was a movie that I was aware of a lot when it came out because I was really big when I would go to the theaters on looking at posters and in the lobby. And this was one movie that had like this really striking poster where it was like the hip cast and like they were all like bathed in blue light. So I remember it was really like eye-catching. And the premise of the movie is just like, even if you're, I was 8 years old, it's just so immediately interesting. And I was like, wow, that movie sounds great. I can't wait to see it when I'm, a little bit older. And I can't remember if I saw it, it was definitely years and years later. It wasn't something I caught on cable. I think maybe I was in my early 20s when I finally caught up with it. I've seen it maybe like 3 or 4 times now.
It is a young person's movie.
Yes.
Sure.
Like kind of what you said, Margo, like 19-year-old Sonia thought this movie was the shit and and the idea is super interesting. But as you get older, you're like, I don't want to know what's on the other side. It's not worth the risk. It's not worth the risk, So I was fascinated watching it this time because it did play at my theater, so I saw parts of it. I saw the whole thing, and then I saw parts of it a lot, especially the end. Saw the end a lot because you just stand in the back and wait for movies to end so you could clean the theater. And I was just struck by how the movie hits me differently now. But we talk about this all the time. Like, movies don't change, we do. And like I said, 19-year-old Sonia was like all in and super loved like Kiefer Sutherland and Kevin Bacon and thought Julia Roberts was the most beautiful thing ever and super loved it. And now I actually still really enjoyed watching it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, all that's still true.
But
she looks great. I mean, everybody's good. But I think they're like thematically speaking. I mean, the thing that got to me is like, how many white guys did they need for this plot? It would have been so much more interesting with a diverse cast because 3 of them are in for bullying.
That's what I wrote. I was like, this is the
Yeah.
most expensive anti-bullying PSA ever.
It really is. Like it's like they're there to learn a lesson from the afterlife. There's something in their lives that's holding them back, something they've done to atone for, and it's like 3 things are bullying, and one of them should have been racism, and
Yeah.
they totally puss out on that, and they don't bring that up. And then what's Oliver Platt for? Does he ever go under?
He never goes under.
Why and why not? Yeah.
What do you think Oliver Platt would see on the other side?
There was some passing line of dialogue where he says something about I couldn't even pick it up. It was something about like stealing food from like a 350-pound person or something like that. So I don't know if like it would have been like Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey fantasies for him. But where he's like getting chased by the Easter Bunny for stealing Deacon's eggs. I don't know. But it's weird how the movie is like they'll take 80% of this main cast seriously, but for Oliver Platt, they're just like, just so you know, you're only the comic relief. That's your only function. You cannot do anything else in this movie.
Mm-hmm. You're here just to make fun of Billy Baldwin.
Yes.
And the Billy Baldwin character, boy, oh boy, he's a slime. He's a real piece of shit. And I don't feel like he really gets his comeuppance, but they have the women. I mean, he's such a jerk. He's like filming sex with women without their permission.
It's so gross because he's fucking these women and then he's like turning and like winking at the camera and shit like, yeah, I'm totally
like
nailing this.
For Sliver? I mean, was this before or after Sliver? I mean, I wonder like how this happened.
And he's filming it for himself and he's gonna watch it, so he wants to watch himself like wink at the camera and be like, yeah, woo. Like
it's so strange.
Yeah.
Because he like somehow is able to sleep with all these women by like taking them up to what looks like an attic.
Yeah. Totally not going to kill you.
Yeah, with no like bed frame. It's just a mattress on the floor. And like I guess, I mean, like, I don't know. I've never done this before, thank God. But, like, you would think if you were going to make videos of yourselves doing this, like, you would want to see your partner more than,
you would
like,
think so.
Right.
Winking at the camera.
And it's sweaty back. I don't know. That's what he wanted to look at. And there's also when he goes under, he's being visited by these images of women. And it sounds like he was basically a rapist. I mean, he was a date rapist.
There is a lot of like,
cajoling.
we don't have to do anything. Like,
right.
Yeah, a lot of kind of pushing women into something maybe they weren't comfortable doing.
Coercion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like, and so he never really kind of, I mean, he sort of feels bad about it because Hope Davis is his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And Hope Davis is his girlfriend. And she doesn't, it's like something things I can hear. I was like, what? What else was I going to say? Somebody else say something.
Yeah, Hope Davis also did Home Alone this year. So I'd like to think that she walked out of Billy Baldwin's apartment and then immediately went to France to become somebody who works for an airline.
I do like to think the Flatliners is part of other universes, so I like to think that this is a prequel to The Lost Boys.
Yeah, speaking of which, this movie's so in its own universe. Like, it's like the multiverse Chicago that never existed, and I kind of love it. It's
what is this? No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, the funniest part of it is just that every 10 feet there's steam shooting out of the ground.
What's going on in Chicago?
Yeah. And then there's a scene when the Kevin Bacon character wants to go make amends with the girl that he was bullying, who's now a grown woman. He goes, Kiefer Sutherland's like, I don't want to be alone right now. Can I go with you? And then Kevin Bacon is just like, I don't know, man. It's like a 2-hour drive. He's like, where are you going? He's like, Bensonville. And anybody from the Chicagoland area knows that the drive from like where they're at, which is, it's supposed to be, I don't know which campus it's supposed to be in the movie, but it's Loyola University. And Loyola to Bensonville is maybe with traffic an hour tops. And he's like, it's like 2 hours. And I'm like, what route are you taking? And like, then they get to Bensonville and the woman basically lives in the forest. And I'm like, no, pretty much just a normal suburb. Like, I have expected like Robin of Locksley to show up.
Never worry, never fear. Robin Hood will soon be here. What are all the hospitals in Chicago fucking creepy like that? Because I don't want to go to that hospital. I don't think they're going to make me better. It looks like fucking nightmare fuel.
If you show up and the doctor's not ready, Kevin Bacon will just stab you in the chest and start operating. Like, what? Didn't wash his hands, not wearing a mask. Like, he's just cutting away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he has an attitude because they throw him out.
Mm-hmm.
I loved how you mentioned he repels out of the building.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah. And I like how like nobody thinks to take like his rope and carabiners and stuff at any point.
And there's like, no mention of it.
Yeah.
Like, why? Yeah, why are you repelling out of your apartment?
Yeah, and I don't get it either because like oh god, like we gotta talk about this campus.
Yeah.
So like, no medical student would take this campus tour and be like, "Yeah, I want to work in abject squalor to get my doctorate," and then they're doing these anatomy classes inside what looks like the Sistine Chapel.
What the fuck?
And like every student has their own cadaver just for class. Like it's not like 20 of them are huddled around one.
So many people donate their bodies to science in Chicago. They can each have their own cadaver.
And then they shoot that Halloween party bonfire. Like, and that's in front of the Museum of Science and Industry, but it's supposed to just be like another lecture hall in this movie.
It's the Dave Stewart song, Party Town.
Yeah.
Oh my God, is that terrible?
And they're doing all their crazy experiments in some like construction site. And I guess they just leave all the medical equipment there all the time and nobody touches it. They don't check it to make sure, like, hey, maybe construction guys didn't show up and we're like, what the fuck is this? And start like pushing buttons and unplugging things. And like,
they're all like trying to flatline themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're trying to flatline to see if and then they're going to bring the person back. And so they take turns doing this. And then it gets competitive for some reason. So people are like, oh, I'll go under for 3 minutes. I'll go for, like name that tune or something.
Yeah.
Right. And so when it's Julia Roberts' turn, and she's wearing a bra, by the way. And if you've done CPR training and stuff, like with the paddles, especially, that would bleed into her skin. That would because it's a lot of shock.
Yeah.
They keep paddling. And I've been trained for that. Like they're burning the shit out of that person, like doing it as many times as they're doing it. It's really, don't do that, you guys. But anyway, her whole thing is that, and I felt Julia Roberts was really good. I think she lost her father when she was very young.
Yeah.
And so I thought she was really good, but her whole thing is her dad was a Vietnam veteran. He came back to the States. He had PTSD. He died. She always thought it was her fault. She eventually has a moment where she realized it wasn't, which is great. But her character really has nothing else to do except be pretty and move her hair around.
And she's the one who I actually
sleeps with bacon.
Sleeps with bacon. She is the one that I think would make the best doctor, actually, out of all of them.
She has empathy, yeah.
Because she has empathy, exactly. Like, she's the one who spends the night, like, at Kiefer Sutherland's place, at Kevin Bacon's place, not at Billy Baldwin's place, because he might try to fuck her, I guess, so she doesn't stay with him. But like she's so sweet to that old lady, and she actually, and Kevin Bacon points out, she's the one who has the best reason for maybe wanting to do this. She wants to see if her people went to a better place, and that makes sense. But yeah, she doesn't have a lot to do. She has her big hair and her big round glasses and her very big coats Very big
Huge
coats.
coats.
Huge.
And lipstick. She had a couple of great shades of lipstick.
No shit.
I was like, what is that? I need to get that. But yeah, she's like not given that much to do. And then we go back to the Kevin Bacon, like he's just a schoolyard bully, which I'm not saying that that's not traumatic for a kid to go through. Trust me.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like they really pussed out and they really could have sent something more. But I think it's such a white movie.
Yeah.
And it's just about basic bullying that I didn't feel like he earned anything for what he did. I mean, he said sorry to a girl, but we're supposed to think he's amazing for doing that when, I don't know.
He's actually he's pretty smart in that he goes under, he recognizes immediately like what's happening and knows immediately, well, I need to make amends. And he does it in the end. That's the end of the Kevin Bacon story for this movie.
And it's to make him feel better.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. It doesn't make her feel better.
No,
just brings up old shit.
It brings up all that trauma again for her, which she didn't want to fucking deal with. It would have been better. I'm saying is that if it were racial verbal abuse that he did, that would have been more meaty. Whereas just this, and then, well, like we said, Oliver Platt, we have no idea what his deal is.
Yeah.
he goes under, and like the worst thing he's ever done is he called William Baldwin a pussy marauder. and then he has to apologize to William Baldwin. That's it.
Did he call him a poon hound? I think that's where I got that expression from. Yeah.
Yeah, that's his whole thing, is like how gross William Baldwin is. You know, it's just calls him like what are you, a boner? You know, because he's dressed as a skeleton. Like that's his whole thing, is to insult William Baldwin.
So what do we think of Billy Mahoney, who comes back to beat the shit out of Kiefer Sutherland?
Kiefer Sutherland is such a fucking wuss, man. This like 8-year-old boy just kicks his ass over and over and over.
Well, then we find out it's super dark. Like he had the kid killed. Like he threw rocks at the kid until he fell out.
The kid got impaled on a tree.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, so I understand.
And the dog
and he
too.
maimed a dog. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it makes very little sense that Kiefer Sutherland's character lives at the end of this movie, because there's really no way to make amends for that. You can make amends for a lot of things, but there's one point where Kevin Bacon's just like, I'm telling him, you know, they were kids, it was an accident. It's just like, it was not what he intended. It wasn't premeditated murder, but it wasn't an accident.
Right. But for some reason, the kid forgives him at the end, like gives him the smile, like almost like a thumbs up, like everything's going to be okay. And the dog's like, "Rrr?" And they and the record scratch, taking care of business, and the credits roll.
Oh, God. That's another 1990 movie, too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. What was with 1990 being the year of the Afterlife movie? Because you had this, Jacob's Ladder, and Ghost all within like 4 months of each other.
I don't know.
I'm trying to remember. I was thinking of that too. Like what was going on at the time that we were all kind of obsessed with it. And I wish I had a cool answer for you.
Well, we're talking about like the end of 80s. So it's like kind of the end of the Reagan era. And there's, I don't like the kind of the AIDS crisis is still going on. Maybe it's about taking responsibility for your shit. Accountability, maybe. Because, I mean, they're all about that. Although I haven't seen Jacob's Ladder in a really long time, but that movie scared the shit out of me.
That freaked my shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more like definitely compared to Flatliners, that's the one that kind of goes all the way with the nightmarishness of like this limbo between life and death. But one thing I wanted to talk to you both about was Flatliners is like the case study example for me of a movie where you realize how little, at least for me, like how little plot really matters compared to the art of making a movie, because this plot is dumb. Like it's a great premise, but like the story is not that good. It's very kind of like repetitive, and like it's just, it ends in a weird like kind of, shrug your shoulders way. But I find this movie so watchable, and I have revisited it a number of times, and like the cast is great, and the look of it is, even though it makes no sense why it looks the way that it does, and like the sets are dressed the way that they do, it's almost better than if it did make sense. It makes it more memorable. So I just love movies like this where it's just like, it's such a movie, like in capital letters.
And it looks amazing, and it's, the cinematography is I want to make sure I pronounce it right. Jan de Bont. Jan. See, I always get it wrong. Always. And of course,
directed Twist.
Yeah, he did, and he did Speed, which I
Yeah.
love. It's like one of my favorites. And it looks amazing. I mean, I don't know what part of Chicago they're in that everything's in like blue light, and there's like shifting lights all the time that perfectly light people, and there's like spinning lights going on, and then the steam coming up from underneath, but it looks awesome.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
If I knew where that was, I would be living there. I find it fascinating that it seems like, a certain city will get tax credits to filmmakers, like to shoot their movies there. And like Atlanta's like a big one right now. So a lot of movies take place in it, or they don't take place in Atlanta, but they're filmed in Atlanta. And there must have been something like that with Chicago in the early 90s, because so many movies took place in Chicago between like 1990, maybe like 1989 and like 1993 or so. And, like right after Flatliners, like William Baldwin did Backdraft, and that's in Chicago. So he might have just stayed there.
Yeah.
He might have just hung out.
I know San Francisco had that in the late 80s, early 90s. So we had Pacific Heights, which we talked about. We had the Presidio, which we need to talk about.
Yes.
The movie's fucking bananas. And then we had Nash Bridges, the TV show here, like Bedazzled, that movie. Nightcaller, the movie with Brendan Fraser, the Bedazzled remake, that was here. Like, there was a ton of filming going on here at that time too, and I think there was like a tax break thing going on. So I know what you're saying about it's probably the same thing in Chicago.
Yeah,
it's got the Joel Schumacher, just his Joel Schumacher-ness is all over the place, but especially when he's filming Kiefer Sutherland, because he's going back to the Lost Boys in quite a few scenes. Like, remember that time when we filmed that scene and you did this thing? Do that again.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he's doing. It's the same character, just he's not a vampire. And he's
going to be, though. He's going to be. See, that's why he should have. Maybe that's why he couldn't die at the end, because
9 minutes.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
You're brain dead.
He would be. He would have brain damage at least.
Yes. Severe. Like, that is 9 minutes is way too long. And the generator didn't work. Somebody forgot to plug in the generator. That William Baldwin is just no good at all.
No,
these people.
No, he's so worried about people accidentally seeing his sex tapes that he's not doing a very good job at what he's supposed to be doing. And I think Adam called it when he said Kiefer Sutherland is not supposed to live at the end of this movie, because there is no redemption for what he did. And he fucked everyone over. He knew everything was shitty on the other side and that bad things were happening, and he still let I keep calling him Billy, William Baldwin and Kevin Bacon and Julia Roberts go through to the other side. Like, that's fucked up.
Yeah, it's just it's so strange, because he's the guy he's the scientist who shouldn't have played God and needs to learn the lesson. And that's the moral of the movie. And it's kind of just, by letting him off the hook, it makes very little sense. It makes so much more sense where like Billy forgives him, but then they go into heaven together or something like that. And it's like, that's where they can kind of, set things right. But yeah, it makes very little sense for him to be let off the hook for it. Like, even if he's repentant, it's just, I don't know. I mean, maybe people listening to this are just like way more forgiving than I am, but it's just like, from a morality standpoint, I just think like it makes so much more sense for him to, go to the other side.
Right. Especially because his whole reason for wanting to do this is what? He just wants to get on 60 Minutes. I'm like, there's way easier ways to get on 60 Minutes. Like, it's not
just
worth
make a bunch of sex tapes.
Yeah, no shit. It's not worth dying over.
Yeah.
So did anybody
William
see
Baldwin's
the remake?
like,
Oops, sorry.
oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, William Baldwin's like, my tapes run over 60 minutes each.
I don't want to brag, but
Yeah.
they're over 60 minutes. Fucking creep.
What should we call it? Yeah, I saw the remake. It makes this one seem like you're watching, the greatest movie you've ever seen in your life.
I suspected that was the case.
Yeah. The Ellen Page character in that movie is the Kiefer Sutherland part, but Kiefer Sutherland has a cameo in it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I read about it, and it says that it is the same character, but they gave him a different name. Supposedly he's changed his identity or something. Is that?
I don't remember that.
Mm.
It might be.
I just read the Wikipedia page. I was like, that's enough. I don't need to see the movie.
Yeah, it's hot garbage. It's like what me and my friend Rob at the site I write for after this movie joke is a Sony movie, where it basically just looks like somebody was like, we need to use these Sony cameras and show them off. So it doesn't matter what movie we make. Let's make a Sony movie.
Got it.
Right.
It's just very glossy and just empty and everything like that. So
I love all the apartments in this movie, by the way. None of them have furniture.
Nope.
All beds on the floor. Is that what your apartment looks like, Adam?
Yeah, well, totally. I mean, come on, I live in Chicago. So.
I live in Chicago. I live in an attic above a steam grate.
Yep. I need to send you this picture after we're done talking, because yesterday I left my apartment and I was going towards the elevator, and at the end of my hallway is a staircase, and it was completely dark, but then the stairs were lit up, and I was like, ooh, it's like a stairway to heaven. It was like the tunnel to the lights and everything, and I was just like, ooh, I really like Flatliners.
It's very watchable. I mean, it's stupid.
For sure.
But it's really watchable. I mean, it's something that, you can have it on and fold laundry, that kind of movie. And it's a little time capsule of the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Just before grunge.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of my biggest regrets is there's a festival that they did in Chicago at the Music Box Theater, which is the most well-known, kind of old-timey movie theater that's still going here. And there was a festival where one of the events, the centerpiece event of this fest, was Joel Schumacher was going to be there in person with a 70 millimeter print of Flatliners. And I so wanted to go. And that movie would have looked amazing in
Absolutely.
70 millimeter. But then this was a couple years before he passed away, and then he had to cancel for health reasons and stuff. So they pulled the movie and his appearance and everything. So it was a bummer, but that would have been a pretty incredible night just to hear him talk about it. And I could have ran up to him and hugged him for Batman Forever.
But they could have had Billy Baldwin and Oliver Platt introduce it.
This is true. I wonder, do you remember that article from a couple years ago where Joel Schumacher said that he had he slept with thousands of people or something like that?
No.
I don't remember.
You remember that? Oh, okay. It was something where he was talking about, he's just yeah, I've slept with 2,000 people. And my joke after that was, I'm like, see, people really do like Flatliners.
Thank you, Mr. Schumacher.
He seems he was a really nice man. People really liked working with him, and his movies do look great. I mean, everybody looks great in this movie.
True.
Yeah, that has to go a long way with movie stars, where you if you're in a Joel Schumacher movie, you're gonna look like the greatest movie star that there ever has been.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a reason why we keep going back to these movies, Margo.
Yeah.
We just like them, except for St. Elmo's Fire.
Well, it's like a early Julia Roberts hair envy,
Yeah.
fascination that people had that for years. If she didn't have long hair in a movie, people freaked out.
Yeah.
This is true. It's like
Seriously.
when Felicity cut her hair.
Exactly. I mean, if she doesn't smile, she doesn't laugh, because she doesn't smile or laugh in this movie either. It's just all the hair.
Yeah.
But she's got to have like a combination of those.
That's
People
why
feel cheated.
That's why it ends the way it does in the Pelican Brief. Remember, we had to
She just
end. She had to be smiling with like her hair all
Yep.
gorgeous, or we were going to leave the theater and be like, "Fuck this movie." I wanted to point out something else that happens in this. Adam mentioned something about how repetitive it is. There is a thing throughout the movie where they are constantly taking people home after they've flatlined and then saying, like, I'm going to stay so that they're not alone, and then leaving them alone. Like, it happens over and over. It's like, let's just leave Kiefer Sutherland in the back of a truck, right after he flatlined. What could possibly go wrong? And then the same thing, it just happens again and again. Like, they leave Kevin Bacon alone. They leave Julia Roberts is alone in the scariest fucking restroom I've ever seen. And like instantly, like, I'm like, I know that she's a lady and you're trying to like give her space, but she did just die and you brought her back. And you're all fucking doctors, by the way. And they just leave her alone in that creepy restroom. It's just such a movie thing to do.
Another such a movie thing to do, and it's something that I didn't even put together while I was watching it, but I was reading the IMDb trivia for it, and there's this funny like trivia note where somebody just points out, they're like, in the scene where, Kevin Bacon and Kiefer Sutherland go to that woman's home where Kevin Bacon's making amends. So Kiefer Sutherland's getting attacked by Billy in the back of Kevin Bacon's truck. And instead of Kevin Bacon just like going to the back of the truck to help out Kiefer Sutherland, he decides to like break his driver's side window with a rock.
Key to open the door.
He has keys. He's not even going to
He immediately breaks the window with the
Well, they established he also doesn't use his keys to get out of his apartment. He rappels down the side. So clearly he has a fear of keys.
When he wants to operate on a patient, he just does. He doesn't wait for anybody to say it's okay.
That'd be amazing if when he rappelled, he first like kicked out the window and broke it like every time he wants to leave.
Why don't you just use your keys and take the stairs? Fuck those keys. I'll never take them. I'll never use them. I love the IMDb trivia. How many people thought that was interesting?
I don't know. Yeah, I should have looked at that. Those are funny when it's just like you're getting judged even for the IMDb trivia.
So I have a question about the ending. Like, so Kiefer Sutherland decides he's going to go back. He's going to flatline himself, which is a nice way of saying kill himself. Why doesn't he just kill himself? Why does he go through the whole thing of like injecting himself, putting the blanket on, like giving himself the gas? Like, does he know that the gang is going to show up and bring him back?
Yeah, I don't know. Unless he was hedging his bets, or like he didn't really want to kill himself, for good.
Yeah.
I mean, the real answer is just it's more cinematic, and that's what it would be weird to just like not have it be like the flatlining thing anymore.
Yeah.
For the last 10 minutes of the movie, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
It seems like a way to really fuck everyone over, that they're going to now be held responsible for what he's done.
No, but he gave them a letter.
Oh, that's true. It's probably notarized too, so I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure he took it to a notary. Could you notarize this for me? And the person reading it is like, stamp.
One thing I call bullshit on is if this is 1990 Chicago, they would have all been wearing Michael Jordan jerseys at some point.
That's the biggest problem with this movie, actually.
It is, yeah.
I read that Val Kilmer was in consideration for Kiefer Sutherland's role. That might have been in the IMDb trivia.
I saw Nicole Kidman was up for Julia Roberts' role.
I think she would have been good too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She had the same hair.
That's true. They were casting for hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just about hair.
What? Not to be too gossipy, but wasn't this like there was like a whole thing with Kiefer Sutherland and Julia Roberts like dating during this movie?
Mm-hmm.
They got engaged, and they were all set to get married, and she was filming Hook, and then she cut out of the wedding like a day or two before it was going to happen, and she took off for Ireland with Jason Patrick.
Runaway bride.
Yep.
There you go.
And then a couple years later, she married Lyle Lovett. Sorry.
Okay. No, I was just gonna say, I feel like if I was gonna ever go to Ireland, like on my short list of people I don't want to be there is Jason Patrick.
He doesn't seem very fun.
He seems so mopey and joyless.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a burn though to ditch him for Michael.
Michael.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
She's a Lost Boys fan.
She's just like, she's just circling her way through the Lost Boys cast.
Oh, did we see what's his face? God damn it, Corey Feldman. Did you catch the Corey Feldman sighting?
Was there a Corey Feldman?
Was I high?
Maybe. Were you?
I was drinking. I thought I saw Corey Feldman in here. I could be wrong.
Was he in the William Baldwin's part?
No, he was talking with Kiefer Sutherland. It was very early in the movie.
I totally don't remember this. Let me look it up. You guys talk amongst yourselves, and I'll do some Googling here.
It could have just been the rosé.
So over Christmas,
it could be wish fulfillment.
That would be good. Yeah.
Edgar and Alan Frog were there, like trying to figure out if they want to go to school there.
Mm-hmm.
It's creepy enough for them.
Okay, I'm gonna level this up just one more bit. I think that because I watched Soul a couple times on
Isn't
Disney
it great?
Plus. It's really nice. Yeah, I like it a lot. But it could be Flatliners without changing it too much. Like if the other realm was just he didn't fall into a manhole, like he did a purpose flatline, and then like maybe number 22 is voiced by Corey Feldman instead of Tina Fey.
I would watch that
and
too.
Then the whole movie is just like, Corey, what is your purpose? And he's just like, license to drive.
I would watch that. Get on it,
Disney
Pixar.
Pixar's Flatliners.
Voices: Corey Feldman, Tim Allen.
If Pixar ever hired me to direct, and then they're just like, all right, let's see the dailies, they would just be like, what the hell is this? This is just Flatliners and computer animation.
But they wouldn't call it Flatliners. It would be like Flatlined with like the E's missing and like an apostrophe D or something like that. It'd be very cool.
It would be.
I'd watch the shit out of that. Do you want to hear about some other movies that came out in August 1990?
Yes, please.
Okay. First one is Young Guns 2.
Of course.
I loved the Young Guns movies.
Me too.
I loved them. And we get shot down in a blaze of glory. That's an awesome song. Makes me want to sing karaoke if I sang karaoke. Mo Better Blues.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Air America.
Never saw it.
I think you're
okay.
I think you're fine. You don't need to rush out and see it.
Yeah, definitely not now.
Yeah, definitely not now. The Two Jakes.
Never saw it.
I didn't see that one either. The Exorcist 3.
That's really good.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Is that the one with George C. Scott?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those horror movies that has become kind of like a cult classic over the years. It's nowhere near as good as the original, but it's really solid.
All right.
Okay.
I will check it out. We already mentioned Taking Care of Business.
Yeah, boy.
Starring what?
Jim Belushi.
Jim Belushi.
Yeah, taking care of business. Such a generic name. My Blue Heaven.
That's a good one.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I haven't seen it since the theater, but I remember really liking it.
It's on HBO Max right now.
Oh, all right. Ah!
Oi.
Oh, Dark Man.
That's good.
Yeah, which I
Oh.
rewatched last year for Patrick Bromley's birthday party, or was that the 8? No, that was the F This
It's
Movie
part of,
Fest, right?
Yeah, F This Movie Fest.
Yeah,
Yep.
I hadn't seen that one since the theater either. That was fun. Wild at Heart.
I like it.
I like it too.
Yeah.
And then the last one is an awesome movie that we're going to cover someday. Pump Up the Volume.
Very good.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
it was available on Amazon streaming for a week, apparently.
Not
and
even.
Not even a week. I caught it, and then Margo was supposed to watch it, and it was gone. And someday it'll be. I'm like, come on, release Pump Up the Volume on streaming, you cowards. We need it.
Yeah. It's weird that it's so hard to find.
It has to be music
It
rights,
had
right?
The music rights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
I
pisses
have
me
it on
off.
a glorious double feature DVD with Bed of Roses. It's one of my prized possessions.
That's a perfect DVD.
Yeah.
I should
Can
do
I
that.
tell you my Taking Care of Business theater story?
Please.
Yeah, please.
That's why we're doing this episode.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I don't think you'll ever dedicate an entire episode to Taking Care of Business. Another Chicago thing, too, with the Cubs. So I saw that in theaters by accident because I went with it was me and then my dad and my mom and my sister. And my mom and my sister wanted to see Ghost. And it was really popular and it had been out for about a month. And my dad and I were like, I don't want to see Ghost. So my dad was like, well, what do you want to go see? And the only other PG-13 movie was Arachnophobia. So I said, I want to see that. So we went to go see Arachnophobia. And within the first 2 minutes, there's a scene where a tarantula jumps inside of a jar. And it's a jump scare.
Yeah.
Literally. And then I turned to my dad and I said, I think we better go now. And he just goes, oh my God, are you serious? And I said, yeah. So he takes me out of the theater because I was too scared to stay and watch Arachnophobia. And we're pacing down and back and forth between, it was a theater with 8 screens. And it's no, he can't see Die Hard 2. No, he can't see this. No, he can't see that. So he's just all right, we'll go into Ghost and see if we can find your mom and your sister. So we walk in there and it's packed. And it's the scene in Seinfeld where George is trying to find his friends during the screening of Checkmate. It just doesn't work. So we can't find them. So then we leave. And then my dad's just what the hell are we going to watch? And then starting right then was Taking Care of Business. And there were plenty of seats.
Yeah, plenty of seats.
So we had to meet up with, we planned it out. So Arachnophobia was going to end right around the same time as Ghost. But now because we went to a screening of Taking Care of Business an hour later, it was all screwed up. So that night, my dad and I saw about an hour and 10 minutes of Taking Care of Business, and that was it.
That's enough of that.
There's a story about Jim Belushi. A friend of mine told me that's kind of passed among screenwriters and people who, writers. And he had a show with who's the beautiful blonde from Melrose Place?
Oh, Courtney Thorne Smith. Yeah.
According to Jim.
According to Jim.
Yeah. Thank you. And so supposedly the writers really hated him. He was obnoxious. And one time he gave them a hard time and then he left the room and one writer turned to another writer and said, who died and made this guy famous? And everybody which always makes me laugh. That's one of my favorite Jim Belushi stories. Do you want to hear about the top songs?
I just wanted to say I find it surprising that According to Jim had writers.
That's true. My joke about According to Jim is that I've seen the entire series, but it's all been while I was waiting for oil changes.
By the way, I don't think I could sit through Arachnophobia now. I saw it back in the day
It's
and really liked
Yeah.
it, but now I would just the whole time be like itching and like squirming,
Yeah.
and I don't think I
Yeah.
have the constitution for Arachnophobia.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's still good, but yeah, I know
Yeah.
what you mean. The creepy crawly factor is off the charts in that movie.
Exactly. I don't think I could
Yeah.
take it. All right, Margo, do it.
All right, so here are just some of the top songs of the time. A Tribe Called Quest. Can I Kick It?
The song is awesome.
Good.
Jane's Addiction. Been Caught Stealing.
You couldn't
It's
get
all right.
you couldn't get away from that song.
Yeah, you still can't really.
Yeah, I know.
Sinead O'Connor. Nothing Compares to You, which is
The
incredible.
best.
MC Hammer. You Can't Touch This.
Hammer,
Uh,
please, Hammer, don't hurt
Don't
him.
hurt him. Depeche Mode. Enjoy the Silence. Dope song.
That's
Yeah.
good.
And my favorite, Delight. Groove is in the Heart.
That
That's
song,
amazing.
You could not escape.
that song is still rad. I love that song.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me of something. So, to tie it back to Pacific Heights, I had like this weird thing where when I was like 8 or even like older, like especially in grade school, I would always read the movie section of the newspaper, and I'd be aware of what's out because I'd watch Siskel and Ebert and everything. And then obviously, like, I would be in the car with my parents all the time, and they would listen to, like, we had a pop station called B96, which just played like the top 40 hits and stuff. So I would always conflate these things because I'd be in the car listening to songs and then looking at the movie section and stuff. So I remember with Delight's Groove is in the Heart, I'm like, oh, that's from Pacific Heights.
There's just a whole scene that didn't make the cut with Michael Keaton dancing.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, yeah, If You Don't Know Me by Now by Simply Red, that's from Batman. And it's about Vicky Vale and Bruce Wayne.
Better than Bat Dance.
Hey now,
This is
watch
true.
it.
Hey, I fucking hate that song. I don't even. Salty Margo coming back.
Vicky Waiting is the MVP of that album. It's unsung.
Scandalous by Prince. That's a good song.
Yeah.
That's
I
on
love
that.
Prince.
Yeah, that's on that soundtrack. But Bad Dance, I know.
I think I'm gonna
They
go on
weren't all
Amazon
great.
Music and listen to the Batman album now.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
And definitely watch the music video for Bad Dance.
Oh my god.
If you haven't seen it, it's worth it.
It's
pretty
amazing.
cheesy.
With all
Yeah.
the Vicky Vale lookalikes dancing,
Hmm.
it's something. Welcome to our Bat Dance podcast.
I was just sorry, you guys. I was just looking at the IMDb. It's Elliot Page for.
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, I forgot the name, so I apologize.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. I'm like, how do we? I'm like, it's a whole other side conversation. I'm like, Elliot Page made movies under Ellen Page, so when we talk about those movies, are we supposed to? Do we
Say
change?
Elliot?
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think so. That's what
Okay.
I've been told.
Okay.
Spoiler for Flatliners Remake. The big twist in that one is that Elliot Page is the Kiefer role, but she dies midway through the movie, like Janet Leigh.
Ooh.
Mm.
Ooh, I love that.
Mhm.
Does that make more sense in the movie? Like that she would
I
die?
remember it being sort of like the only interesting thing in the movie, but the problem is it leaves you stranded with like 4 actors who are not Elliot Page, and you're just like, oh, I wish the best actor was still in this movie.
Yeah.
Right. Is it Diego Luna and somebody else? is
Yeah,
in
it's
there.
like Kirstie Clemens and Diego Luna and Nina Dobrev, and I forgot what the other person's name was.
That's not enough to get me in.
No.
Oh.
Nope.
I'll just watch this Flatliners again
Yeah, totally.
and play Bat Dance over it.
That's That's the movie that Bat Dance is from, is Flatliners.
Everybody knows that.
I think that Flatliners was shot on the set of the Bat Dance video. It's the same medical school.
It's fucking creepy.
That'd
That's
be
where
amazing if
the
they're doing
Joker had his work done.
Yeah, they're doing like all the flatlining stuff, and then like Prince is just like turning knobs in the background.
Such a weird medical school. I don't want to go there. I don't want my doctor being someone who went to that school.
You say Loyola on the wall, yeah. You're out the door.
Nope. Out. No.
Yeah.
You rappel out that office.
I would. I'd kick out the window and fucking rappel down. I don't need no fucking keys.
And then break into your car. Yes.
Yeah. How annoying would it be if like if you're like a patient in that hospital and like all these medical students are asking you about like life after death and you're like, I'm here for the flu.
I love the one girl who starts telling her story and everybody hates her so much that they just cut her off right away.
Yeah. And that one guy's just like, can I finish? Can I finish? He like interrupts them. Yeah.
I don't want to talk about death with my doctor. Thank you very much.
No.
Come on, Julia Roberts. This was super fun, as always. Yeah. Adam, where can people find you on the internet?
So I write and do podcasts for a website called F This Movie, and that's at the letter fthismovie.com. And you can follow me on Twitter at Risky Adam.
And your best of 2020 is coming up, correct?
Yeah. We're recording it on the Sunday after this recording, so it'll go up on Monday, January 4th.
Nice. I have something to look forward to. I'm bummed because I have to go back to work on Monday, but now I have this, so that's good.
Yeah, I got to also. It's the only thing I can do is listen to my own voice like William Baldwin watches himself on video.
You like listen to it and wink at yourself like, yeah, fucking nailed it.
That's my equivalent to filming myself. I record myself on podcasts and then I listen back and then I wink at it.
I fucking nailed this podcast. So good at it. Margo, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Brooklyn Fitchick, and my blog is brooklynfitchick.com.
And if you like the sound of our voices, we also do a podcast called What a Creep, where we're having so much fun talking about creeps, and we end every episode with someone who's not a creep, so you don't think the world is a total dumpster fire. And you can find Dorking Out at dorkingoutshow.com and Dorking Out Show on Twitter. We're on Facebook, but we don't really check it. That's really where we go and answer people's complaints about our salty language. And
if you join our What a Creep podcast group, you could talk about it. We talk about the show.
Yeah, people love to go into the group and talk about Dorking Out. They had a lot of thoughts and feelings about Titanic. It was very amusing. And I forgot to mention, you can find me at The Sonia Show on Twitter and Instagram and thesoniashow.com. Thanks for talking about Flatliners with us. This was so fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I always have a blast joining you on your show.
Yeah, you're the best.
Thanks.
You really are our podcasting brother from another mother.
I feel just the same way that you two are my podcasting sisters from another mister.
Aww.
Do you think like Billy Baldwin in Flatliners, if he had a podcast, he would like tell women, he's like, I'm just gonna press record, but we don't have to podcast.
And then he just turns the Skype camera like back on himself.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah.